Movement. What is movement in Call of Duty? Is it the ability to simply slide cancel, or is it the combination of some other mechanics? Is it something that is advantageous, or is it simply just a trend for social media? After years of debate and research across multiple titles, we may have finally come to a conclusion. Movement, in an FPS sense, is any mechanic that the game allows a player to control in order to manipulate their player model, whether to traverse an area of the map or to create a potential set of skills that a player can use to outplay and outposition their opponent. The Call of Duty player base has been dramatically split in the past 3 titles on whether movement mechanics should be included within the game, and it has created quite the controversy since Sledgehammer Games has shown they plan to include plenty of movement options for the coming Modern Warfare 3 title, as well as implementing it into Warzone. Now, one thing is very simple. Whether you hate movement or you love it, it is becoming a new skill that you as a player need to either know how to use or at a minimum know how to play against in order to succeed in Call of Duty. Luckily for you, I'm here to help guide you through how to do just that. Most of the mechanics that can be classified as movement coming to Modern Warfare 3 are relatively simple, can be learned, and can be combined to increase your overall skill level. So let's take a look into how these mechanics are achieved on a basic level. First and foremost, the jump shot. This is a simple movement and tactic that allows you to get a slight peeker's advantage when jumping around a corner to engage your enemy. To do so, you simply press your jump button when peeking an angle, preferably timed with your ADS for maximum effectiveness. The drop shot. A classic COD mechanic that can be used to catch your opponent off guard by dropping to the floor to dodge bullets, alter your hitbox mid-fight, or just overall throw off your enemy's perception. To do so, simply hold prone mid-fight or while shooting. This can be combined with your ADS or hipfire. The Dolphin Dive. A Black Ops classic that allows you to dodge bullets or traverse further distances in one single move while at the sacrifice of not being able to shoot. Simply hold or tap your crouch button dependent upon your settings while in a full sprint to achieve this. Sliding. The slide alone is a mechanic that, like the dive, can be used to traverse further distances in one single move, but rather in a smoother fashion. But this differs in that you can still use your weapon. Keep in mind that in Modern Warfare 3, you are able to hip fire and ADS your weapon dependent upon your setup throughout the whole slide. The slide cancel. This mechanic gained popularity in Warzone and Modern Warfare 2019. Granted, it was in other titles, but it is returning to Modern Warfare 3 in that it allows you to traverse further distances quickly, but also allowing you to instantly stop and have your aim prepared to fight at any time during said slide. Now, while individually none of these mechanics are game-breaking or super advantageous alone, begin to combine them and you will have a brand new skill set that can help you separate yourself from the rest of the pack, or at the least compete on par with the average competitive player. Combining these simple mechanics to create moves that allow you to get the drop on your opponent is not as complex as one may think. We simply will take what we have now learned and start to combine 1 to 3 of the mechanics as if they were a combo on a game like Street Fighter, for instance. Snaking has become more popular as it was one of the few mechanics that did exist for Modern Warfare 2 this past year. Snaking throws off the hitbox of your character and allows you to gain information while maintaining cover. Not to mention, it can be a hell of a time to deal with as an opponent. To do this, all we'll be doing is simply hitting our prone as if we are drop shotting, and with your auto attack sprint enabled, simply sprinting or moving forward out of your prone, and you will continue to repeat this over and over for as long as you need in the fight. The next few moves all use some form of the slide or slide cancel, and there's a good reason. Keep in mind they may not all be used for the same situation, so it's best to keep a couple of these up your sleeve. Don't be afraid to practice each one on bots first and then begin to test in game until you feel comfortable. So this first move has to do with slide canceling and combining it with either the drop shot or jump shotting. Whenever you challenge an angle, you have a couple of options. You can jump challenge somebody, you can slow challenge them by walking or ADSing, or you can slide cancel challenge them. Now with this slide cancel challenge, you can spice it up by adding a drop shot or jump shot at the end of your slide cancel. All we do here is simply approach the angle we want to challenge, slide cancel into the angle, and immediately go prone while shooting, or we can alternatively slide cancel into the angle and then jump while we're shooting. This is simply to make your opponent work harder and force them to hit shots. You already have the jump on them by abusing the desync of slide canceling around the corner, giving you the peeker's advantage. When you throw in the drop shot or a jump at the end of the slide cancel, it will cause your opponent to work even harder to try and kill you. The best thing about this move is you can use it everywhere and often with little effort and practice. This next mechanic can sound a little tricky, but it's not as intricate as it may look or sound, and can be very effective when catching your opponents off guard. So this move is called the slide cancel fadeaway. The fadeaway is a very aggro mechanic when you generally know you will have no way out of a fight. We do this fadeaway by taking the fight straight into the enemy, literally. You will run towards the opponent, slide, and as you would run into them or as your player model is about to connect with theirs, you either cancel or pull back from your slide with your jump button and immediately create separation. The reason this can be so strong is because most players rely on aim assist to track their enemy in close quarters. When you slide into the enemy, the collision of both player models can at times throw off their aim assist, causing them to miss a couple of shots or even lose you, while allowing you to maintain accuracy. This move focuses on you being the aggressor, however, and is not always a guarantee to alter their aim assist when you collide. This next move most players, if not all within the Call of Duty player base, have died to or experienced it being done to them within their time playing. Though it can be super effective, it can also be very predictable if you are facing higher level players, so pay attention. I call this move the pump fake. To do this move, it's usually in a situation where you've already been seen, been shot at, or taken some kind of damage. Once the enemy sees you, shoots you, or is guaranteed to challenge you, you want to immediately cut their line of sight by either getting to your right or left behind cover. As soon as you get behind the cover, you want to re-challenge them by either slide canceling, jumping, or simply just re-peeking the angle. Most times you will catch your opponent off guard, whether they be running, reloading, chasing you for the kill, or simply just not ready for you to immediately re-engage them. Not to mention, once again, you can take advantage of desync and get a slight peeker's advantage by being the aggressor. Keep in mind, if you're fighting higher level players, this is a very easy move to predict and to counter. Simply just hold the angle and prepare for them to jump back around the corner to re-engage you. Even a couple pre-fire shots could play to your advantage if you know players are being super aggro. Now that we got all of the sweaty moves out of the way, let's check out some mechanics that were created out of necessity, really, from Warzone 2. Now you may be thinking there really was no movement in Warzone 2, but there was some unique creations that we can now throw into our bag of tricks when we use movement to our advantage. I'm sure there are many names for this mechanic, however I call it the belly flop. All you will do is simply find objects that you're able to dive over or onto. The idea is pretty basic and relatively easy to do. Simply run towards the object, dive, and press your jump button as soon as your player model's stomach would be landing on the object. If you time this correctly, it'll allow you to be ready to start shooting as soon as you land, versus a normal dive where you have about a 1 to 2 second delay before you can get up, move, or shoot. Now the second dive mechanic is more of a jump mechanic coming out of water, but it reminds me of diving into the water, just kind of reverse. When you're coming out of the water in Warzone onto land or have to climb some kind of object to get out of the water, you usually are stuck in a climbing animation and it renders you vulnerable. So instead of just statically climbing out of the water and being vulnerable for a couple seconds, do this instead. In the water, get momentum by swimming to the bottom. Then as you're coming towards the surface, spam your jump button, and after a little bit of practice of trying to figure out how far away from the object you need to be, you'll dive out of the water and be ready to shoot with little to no downtime instead of having to go through an animation. The last and final mechanic was made popular in the current Warzone map Vondel, as there are many rooftops that are just out of reach when you dive or jump from one to another. This can leave you awkwardly floating down in an easy target for your enemy. So if you want to avoid this error, or you just want to get some extra distance on your jump, you can simply dive and immediately pull your parachute right after. This may not sound like a huge deal or a game-changing mechanic, but it can make you have some very easy rotations to get ahead of your enemy, and it can be seen as kind of unique, as we'll finally get to have the slide cancel and the dolphin dive combined with Modern Warfare 3. Hopefully you all now see movement is in fact not something super intricate and complex, but rather it's just learning when and how to combine simple movements together against your opponents. With each new Call of Duty title, we will always have to adapt and learn new skills or even revert back to using previously learned skills. So if you are someone that is dreading the return of a movement Call of Duty, or you simply want to improve your overall skill set for the coming title, I encourage you to use what you saw in this video today and focus on improving one game at a time. Your practice will create progression over time, and of course repetition always helps. If you guys have any knowledge that you want to drop in the comments to help out our community continue learning and progressing in Call of Duty, please do so down below in the comments. As always, please subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. And until next time, create your luck.